Maybe. Maybe we're alive. Maybe. See? Possibly. This is happening. I don't know. Probably should have tried to figure out how to make this work fully ahead of time, but it's like it seemed like we were working and everything was working, and then all of a sudden everything's crashing. I don't know why. No, it's okay. It's okay. See here. Streaming monitor. Okay, I think we are actually showing as being online somehow, some way. It's showing us as being online. I'm not sure what that means exactly. If that means that then we actually are broadcasting or not. Looking at you, YouTube. Looking at you, fucking Twitch. We'll see. I guess this could just end up being a lost episode. In which case, then it's the two of us just hanging out. Chilling.
I've done worse things with my time.
Oh, I've done many just horrible things. So I guess technically that means I've done worse things with a rough hour-long program format. But guess what? We're actually live. Okay, thank God. Works third time every time. There we go. Hey everyone, welcome to Sports Radio 1917, your home for sports discussion and fantasy analysis from a leftist perspective. I'm Kelton, and this is my fellow sports Bolshevik, Mitch. How's it going, buddy?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Man, I'm surviving.
I'm the Bolshevik today?
That's right, you are.
I don't feel like I deserve to be the Bolshevik.
Well, I mean, I guess neither of us actually do. Gabe can't join us this week for like the most bullshit of reasons. He's somehow going out there in the Carolinas, being on the front line of the protest, making a real difference and taking a stand for his community. Whereas we are doing the real work here. We are broadcasting to YouTube and Twitch. Just, the way that it was intended. So to support, maybe not us, but to show support for Gabe. Yeah, let's use Gabe. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and click on the bell to make sure that you get notifications and that you don't miss an episode. I don't know, by the way, how this actually is going to work with, how can I phrase it? Twitch. Because guess what, people? We're actually also now on Twitch. And surprisingly, it seems to actually be alive and properly functioning and not completely dead. And so I feel like I have absolutely bastardized every format of where we're doing a podcast on YouTube and Twitch through Zoom. And you have a real life background behind you. I, though, have like the same CGI GIF just playing over and over on loop. Like someone's gonna quickly discover that they're living in the Matrix, kind of bullshit. Anyways, I think it's time that we address the main issue that's gonna be in the room here. The number one story that has been on everyone's mind is all the quarterback controversy. Is what's happening with fucking QBs. What the hell? It seems like every quarterback, especially in the NFC South, is a chud for whatever fucking reason. Drew Brees is claiming that if anyone disrespects the flag, that you're taking a shit all over like his two grandfathers.
His dad and grandpa.
Yeah. Which, I mean, like, are they
personal.
Cool? Yeah, are they cool people just because they served necessarily? Like, there's nothing to tell me that they aren't racist pieces of shit. Like, prove to me exactly, Drew Brees, what the deal is. Because, like, you no longer speak to your own mother because she ran as a Democrat in Louisiana. So maybe, just maybe, you just are not apologizing now for, I wasn't thinking too much ahead of time. But rather that you kind of went mask off for a second and you weren't really expecting to get the amount of blowback that you did. Because guess what? We're in quarantine, motherfuckers. So this is all that we can focus on. And man, so what do you think about Drew Brees overall, like in the fallout that's come from this?
So I honestly feel like from a football perspective, it's not going to affect him that much. I think he's going to get off pretty easy. People just want to see him play the sport. And I think where it could end up affecting him later on down the road is with broadcasting, because he kind of has this little wink deal with NBC that after this season, when he retires, he's going right into broadcasting.
Oh yeah, and I can't really imagine what broadcaster would or broadcasting company would think. Now this is a guy, he clearly just oozes charisma, really has established a career for himself as a broadcaster, and now with this controversy,
every word.
Of course, no one has gone, I can't wait to hear Drew Brees break down that story for me.
Right.
I can't. It sounds miserable to me. I don't think that he's, number one, would be good at his job, but now with all of this additional flack, I think NBC should just hurl him into non-football related stuff. Just, send him into whatever the equivalent of sending someone to Serbia is. Make him go on like the amateur women's golf bracket for a little while.
Ouch.
Just really have him grind it out. No offense to women's golf. I just think that, that would be the thing he would take the most personal issue with.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. That, definitely. Or, like helping urban communities, Habitat for Humanity, having to do reports on that. Just watching him stew because he knows that could have been a Starbucks built there instead.
So this sounds like, okay, so what it is Drew Brees is just so marketable. Because of the kind of person he is, there are people around this country that will like him just because of what he believes, and like they don't care if his personality is as dull as cardboard. Like they can't get enough of it because he says things like, "I love Jesus and I support the flag," and like people are gonna be excited about that no matter what. Especially if it's a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
No, you're absolutely right. It's always great when the quarterback who, let's see, what was that thing about that particular year with this team? I remember that they won a lot of games, but it was clearly because of the offense, right? Not because the defense was so motivated for some like unknown reason, maybe like $50,000 personal foul while taking a sack kind of thing. That could have propelled them forward. Although on the other hand, I guess that really is kind of a Sophie's choice of shitty human beings, because that would mean that either Drew Brees or Brett Favre would have gone to the Super Bowl. And I can't imagine Brett Favre as a Minnesota Viking going to the Super Bowl.
And okay, and Brett Favre is like kind of crossed some lines even worse than Drew Brees.
Oh, you mean how he sent a dick pic to a female reporter? Right. Then when she like went to her superiors, he then got her fired. Yeah, that kind of crossing the line. Drew Brees hasn't done anything to that level yet. That we know of anyways. Yeah, give him time. With all these types, like you just have to wait for the CTE to slowly take over the brain a little bit. Because I don't know who looks at Drew Brees and thinks this is going to be a guy who I am going to enjoy outside of a football context. Because, I mean, there are people who will argue that they don't even enjoy him inside the football context whatsoever. But maybe, like you said,
he's a red-blooded American.
Yeah, the Blaze will pick him up and they'll do a whole bunch of specials about like what Jesus in the South is all about. I
mean, that actually sounds like a match made in hell. So I would watch maybe 3 minutes of it just to see, just to get a taste.
Just really going for the absolute clip show that no one can deal with, just as he's describing exactly how flawless Jake Fromm is as a college prospect going into the NFL, how much he sees in himself in that man. Because apparently, Jake Fromm got comped to Drew Brees at the combine, and he's like Drew Brees in a whole lot of other ways too.
Well, it was actually a Senior Bowl coach said that Jake Fromm reminded him of Drew Brees.
Oh, very nice. I think it truly is a sign that scouting departments aren't at all weird old dinosaurs that should now just rely on analytics because of these bullshit comparisons that make no fucking sense whatsoever.
Gosh, yeah.
But yeah. So a scout compared him to Drew Brees. Jake Fromm took it and he ran with it. And then he fell under, love how the media phrases it, he fell under controversy, quote unquote, because he said that guns should only belong to elite white people.
Oh my. And did you see the text messages? The alleged text messages?
Yeah. And I do enjoy how we're going to use the word alleged, and then we're not going to say it's for sure him, but it's for sure him enough for him to issue an apology on those texts.
Right.
Those alleged texts. But if it was me, I would like to say that I'm sorry for what I said. If I actually did say those things. I mean,
isn't it great? Even when there's cold hard proof in today's world, it's always allegedly, because anything can be altered to make it seem real. And
do you think that like the Buffalo Bills are going to become like a white nationalist breeding ground? Because I mean, it's not exactly like I don't want to throw any shade or presume anything about Josh Allen here. But I mean, like the Wyoming gunslinger cowboy guy doesn't strike me as like the wokest motherfucker walking around either. And so it's weird to think that then Jake Fromm radicalizing him, what exactly that could do.
I mean, so I think it's just that whole area of the country in general, like that type of person up there just really doubles down on being that type of person. It's like it's almost like trendy for them to think they're from the South.
Oh, it's so fashionable, darling. Don't you understand?
Right.
It's like, part of my aesthetic up here in the Great White North.
Side of New York.
I'm from the southern part of New York, you see. Well, okay, technically it's actually northern New York. It's the upstate part, but still, pride, heritage, not hate. Just God.
That's Bills fans.
Yeah. Bills Mafia does not deserve this sort of slander or treatment that I think they're about to experience. Because at some point, Josh Allen is either going to get a concussion or he's going to get hurt because of his reckless playing style. And Jake Fromm is going to start a game or play for a half at least this year. And I just can't imagine wanting to root for them. With allowing Jake Fromm to continue on. I mean, you have the Patriots, right? And their white nationalist kicker. You have the Bills with Jake Fromm and his absolutely racist tweets. You have the Jets, who I think are fine as of right now, maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if like Adam Gase has like the tapes unearthed and it's just him and Peyton Manning kicking back, telling exactly how they really feel about some Broncos players.
I would love to see that. Holy shit, that would be groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if there was footage of Peyton Manning just like being blatantly racist for like an extended period of time?
Peyton Manning got away with sexually assaulting a woman while he was at Tennessee. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he said some wild shit.
No, he has. He has. But to see it, America's darling. The football world's darling.
Yeah, I would. ESPN would love that story just so that way then they could be like, that's the real reason we decided not to counter Peyton Manning's offer to get him on Monday Night Football. We'd actually known about this, but we were staying hush hush per our arrangement. Just God. Whatever. Because I mean, there are at least some good quarterbacks, not all good quarterbacks, not all bad quarterbacks. We had to see both sides, don't you know? And I think Aaron Rodgers towed that line like he was a fucking gymnast, walking the straight and narrow. Just, when he was talking about how It's never been about the anthem or the flag. Not then, not now. Listen with an open heart. Let's educate ourselves and then turn word and thought into action, which is, I think that if we were to make like a white people bingo card for these protests, the idea of maybe we should talk less and listen more goes right up there, like number one with a bullet.
Absolutely.
Like,
absolutely.
Don't say it. You don't need to say it. That's not a special point anymore.
Right.
You don't get some like white savior kudo points for being able to say like, I think that that's what we should do. I will lead the charge, me and the other people, but me being front and center. Because, I mean, like, where, and to be fair, his teammate, Martellus Bennett, or former teammate, while on the Packers, Martellus Bennett had a lot of choice words to say about this, saying it was disingenuous, and saying, well, where was this? And I think that that's absolutely right. Like, Milwaukee, the police there are fucking brutal to the minority communities that exist all around them. And you haven't heard anything from Aaron Rodgers about this. It is not until the breaking point has gone one way or the other that Aaron Rodgers has actually decided to voice his opinion on this. I know that this probably isn't necessarily a super popular comparison, but that's kind of like the Taylor Swift comparison point with Aaron Rodgers, is that you're not going to say anything publicly until you know at least like 55% of people agree with you on one end. And then you're going to say like, I'm in favor of it. It's just awful to me that then he's able to get some brownie points. It's almost as bad as Drew Brees' actual fucking apology, which, I mean, just sounds completely disingenuous. Did you read it on Instagram, by the way?
No, I did not read it.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I'll give you a brief summary, basically saying like, I was wrong for my actions. I wasn't thinking. I, of course, always want to stand with the African American communities. Some of my best friends are black, kind of logic following from there. And then saying like, I will be a leader in the African American communities and I will help lead this discussion point moving forward. Which, that's not the fucking point, by the way, Drew Brees. Like, at all. Like, what you need to be doing is putting money where your mouth is. Maybe like as disaster relief efforts go, or as like you're wanting to help out impoverished communities, you don't blanketly donate money to just the state of Louisiana for them to do with what they will. Like, find local communities, like, I don't know, in New Orleans, the place where you actually play, and then help out there. And in the place where I think probably a good comparison would be the pledge that Dak Prescott has made of saying he's going to donate $1 million to help improve police training. Which, I mean, like, okay, I might hate the fucking cops, but at the very least, police training is a step in the right direction. And you know, fine, I'll take that from a professional sports athlete. He's at least donating $1 million to that. Now, what I am hoping is that he doesn't give $1 million to the police with a handshake promise that then they will earmark that for sensitivity training, basically. Because instead, that just means that they're going to get another MRAP vehicle and use it to just plow through protesters again. Like, that's all that's actually going to happen from it. And I just...
If you expect more than that, you know... There's no reason to expect that's not what's going to happen.
I fingers crossed. I have to be optimistic at some point in time, you know. Although I will say Texas has really been holding it down. I think H-Town hold it down is a common phrase, but Texas quarterbacks as a whole, because Deshaun Watson went a step further and did some real direct action and decided to march along with the people who were peacefully protesting in Houston, which actually might sound like, oh, it's a publicity stunt, which let's all be very real about the discussion. It probably is. It probably serves that level of a purpose.
Yeah.
He probably had like a PR team there snagging some photos and everything else. But he was also making sure that he was towards the front of it. He was at the beginning, because no one wants to be the fucking cop who tear gases Deshaun Watson. Like, that is not something you will live down whatsoever. They never let Will Ferrell live it down, and the other guys, after he shot Derek Jeter, they're not going to let him live it down if he ends up tear gassing Deshaun Watson. So
that is how you become the most hated cop in the city.
Oh,
like, hands down, if you tear gas Deshaun Watson, like
the most hated former cop in the city,
quickly
becoming the most quickly becoming the most wanted former cop in the city.
we all agree that riding is okay for this guy.
I mean, and it goes all the way up, because like I really hate how something that's common, at least is a running thing on the show, is my hatred of Bill O'Brien. Just my undying hatred for this man.
It should be a common hatred, because
but he stands on the right side of history and in full support of the protests and of the players movement, which makes me so mad, because that's either, again, another huge PR play, or that's what he actually believes. And then, God damn it, well, I guess he's probably an okay guy. I just hate him as a football coach. Well,
and general manager.
Okay, you know what? That's fair. Fine. Bill O'Brien, the person, fine. Bill O'Brien, the coach, fine. Bill O'Brien, the general manager, racist piece of shit. How could you? We had a future with DeAndre Hopkins. 4 drops last year. 4! And that's
and 0 the year before. So in 2 years, 4 drops. Like,
you know what? Just go to hell. Go to hell, Bill O'Brien. I take it all back. Just watch. Tomorrow's headline is gonna be like, Bill O'Brien takes tear gas canister to the face defending Deshaun Watson or something.
So I'm actually at the point now where I'm wondering how well this ends up working out for Bill O'Brien, because it's not that he made any upgrades, but the Texans offense does kind of have a lot of weapons.
And the fact that you have like really involved BLM activist Kenny Stills on your team, like that's
who's actually not a bad receiver.
No, not that either, I guess. Okay, fine. Yeah. There is that factor going for him.
He was pretty good in Miami before Miami had a quarterback. So if that should say something. It just takes a while for a receiver and a QB to get on the same page. But he even had some big plays in the playoffs. The first touchdown I think they scored against Kansas City was a pass to Kenny Stills.
Gotta love it. And it all just went downhill. Well, I mean, 2 more touchdowns and a field goal after that. Then it all went downhill for the Texans from there. Oh God. But weirdly enough, like, speaking of football, but in the bigger sense, the LA Galaxy, the soccer team, were making the news, and I thought it related to the MLS holdout that was occurring, because for anyone listening at home, yes, soccer actually was experiencing a bit of a holdout. Who fucking knew? Absolutely wild, right? But as it would turn out, the news wasn't that the fact that they had actually reached an agreement, and so games are going to end up coming out just as scheduled. It's instead that the LA Galaxy player's wife decided to say in Serbian that people should run over protesters and treat them like cattle, which is just objectively terrifying. And also, like, is making me like want to take all of those like goddamn immigrants coming over here making threats against our citizens kind of talk, and just, focus it in on this wretched woman.
Yeah, where did they find this woman? Like, where did she come from where she feels like it's okay to just kill people for wanting things to be better?
Yeah, and her of all fucking people. Like, oh yeah, not all of us can somehow luck into not only going from Serbia to the United States, but go to Serbia from the United. I'm sorry, go from Serbia to the United States, riding your husband's dick all the way through it because he's a world-class athlete, and then threatening and jeopardizing his entire fucking not only job but brand that he has spent his lifetime building because you just decided to go off on Instagram and just really go full Balkan. Now, I'm not going to keep on speaking because I think that Gabe is going to be the one
I was going to say,
if he's watching on this. I know.
We've already offended Gabe.
He's going to say that, comparing people to cattle is actually a Slavic compliment, you see. It means
I asked where they found her, and then you said she was Serbian. I was like, oh, man, I messed up.
There's nothing, that can get forgotten about that. I'm gonna go ahead and call it right now. R.I.P. Gabe. Who knows what's gonna happen? Hopefully it's just a joke, but if not, I was prescient is what happened. Working on getting his doctorate in tobacco studies. So come on, buddy, we believe in you. Yeah.
I knew he was getting his doctorate, but I didn't realize he's doubling down on the big tobacco. That's cool.
Yeah. He's actually trying to enact change from within with them and help everything become less absolutely monstrous,
right?
Than they are. Which I guess if anyone's going to do it, I'd rather it be Gabe than have it be, just another soulless corporate monster. So, solidarity with him. But taking a break from news discussion, onto two of our now running bits that I think we need to talk about. The first is, what's up with the Wiz this week? Is that alliteration enough, or do you think I should keep on adding more W words?
No, I liked it.
Okay, good. Because
WWW.
Yeah, w. What would Wiz do? And the answer is fall into a bit of a slump this week. They went 2 for 3. I'm sorry, not 2 for 3, 2 and 3 this week, and fell to 11 and 14 for the season. Now, what's the one thing that we know about the KT Wiz, Mitch? Do you remember?
Oh, they have young, dynamic pitching.
That is right. And so when their stars are playing, they are doing incredibly well. But when they aren't playing, they are doing incredibly badly. And this was very evident this week because in their losses, they gave up 11, 12, and 14 runs to the opposing team.
Wow.
That's right. When you're giving up low-scoring football numbers to opponents, you're probably not going to win that fucking baseball game. Just no, not at all. The other bit of news that is worth keeping up on for anyone paying attention at home or for anyone who cares, people on Twitch, go ahead and check out last week's episode on YouTube because that was before I was able to get this set up. Winky smiley face indeed. We picked a National Rugby League team. Now, do you want to tell them what team that was, Mitch? Do you remember? The pressure's on. The pressure's on.
Well, it's the Roosters.
That's right. That's right.
Gabe was calling them the Gamecocks.
That's right. Because, again, Carolina representation matters. So he picked the Sydney Roosters, or, rather, we picked the Sydney Roosters. He wanted some other team. I don't know what the names
Something
of the
about a rabbit.
Are. Oh, that's right. The
Rabbitohs.
Rabbitohs. Which apparently don't mean rabbits, they mean rabbit hunters, which would be weird, That'd be like calling Van Helsing a vampiro, for example. Seems like there's an easier way to differentiate what you are. No, I'm a vampiro. I'm one of the good guys. I have to wait until the end of the word to figure out if it's
oh my god,
on your side or not here. Anyways, the Sydney Roosters. This morning, they played a game at, I believe, 3:30 a.m. Our time, and they were sitting there in 10th place, and they played it's not Birmingham Broncos, it's the Broncos team. I forget the home city here.
Oh, yeah.
But the Broncos were sitting in 9th, and both of them were sitting just outside the top 8 teams bubble on the overall standings ladder. And they ended up winning that game 59-0. 59-0. That's right.
Yeah.
just a display of dominance, and it catapulted them up to number 5 on the ladder. And it's still very early on. Teams are still getting blown out left and right, and so you either win by a lot or lose by a lot, as people are trying to get the adjustments made. Because unlike fucking football, you have to go in with your strategy for that half, and you just stick with it the entire half. Then you try and make as many second half adjustments as you can, and you hope to God it works. And I guess it didn't really work out for the Broncos. So the Roosters are sitting pretty well. They're now 2-2 overall on the season. And what more, they have a 68 point plus differential to them.
Nice.
So that is going to help them.
Plus 7 going into today.
That's absolutely right. They were a very strong 1-2, mighty and brave as they were. So
yeah, okay, so I like we backed them at the right time then.
To be fair, we also backed the KT Wiz when they sucked, and then they went hot for a week, and then they have RIP'd all the way through since then.
2 weeks in a row, you know.
Yeah,
could be better, could be worse, you know. 3 games below 500 isn't terrible.
That's what we're striving for. Is the Jeff Fisher-esque honorable 7-9 is what we're really hoping to accomplish here. So, oh boy, that ties though into what we said we're going to be focusing on with betting this week, and that is going to be NRL betting, because it's the closest to NFL betting, and until the fucking NBA decides to come back, this is what we got to work with. Okay, the short answer is that you have 2 teams to be looking at here in the NRL. It's going to be the Panthers and the Warriors. Okay, it's you might be wondering, oh hey, where are the Panthers from? Or oh hey, where are the Warriors from? And the short answer is shut up. You don't need to know. Okay, don't bother asking questions. You want me to actually look into this? No, I'm not going to know where they're from. I am going to know what their overall records are. Okay.
It turns out that some Australian townships are difficult to pronounce.
Yes. Why would Australia have the audacity not to completely westernize every town they conquer in the name of colonialism? This is so oppression to me personally. And so we're looking at the Panthers taking on the Warriors. The Panthers are overall the number 4 team in the league. The Warriors are number 12 looking on the ladder, and the Panthers are only favored by 3.5 points. And when every game is becoming a blowout like how it is, you need to just, how can I phrase it? Go with the over on any of that.
Okay.
Of 3.5.
That's good advice.
Really. I'm going to read you some scores here, okay? We have 32-6. 14-14, 22-6, 28-16, 18-0, 28-12, 36-6, 34-6. All of those are not within a 1-score matchup, except for the actual fucking tie that existed. So when you only have one game that's taking place that would be within and the entirety of last week, I feel like it's comfortable to go with the team that is 8 places above, as well as the team who has, enough of a fighting chance this early on. So it's a lot like the XFL, like when you're doing betting, if you did any of that, of where since no one really knows like what the lines are exactly, this is the absolute time to try and pounce on it and really hope that you get good, because they're not adjusting it fully at this point. Give you a frame of reference, the Roosters were only favored by 5 points, and they ended up winning 59-0.
Okay. Then, like I will stick with this philosophy. The best time to bet is when nobody knows. Like if you don't know anything, that's okay. But if Vegas doesn't know anything, your odds double instantly. I'm telling you. If Vegas doesn't know what they're doing, then you have a chance.
It is the only way, I think, to bet is when there is that immediate upheaval. Like when the NBA gets back, for example, which, by the way, that's going to be our final news story. The NBA is actually going to be coming back. Oh, my God. They're going to do 8 games. God, can you imagine just how happy the SportsCenter broadcasters are going to be when they can finally do a SportsCenter top 10? Like tears of joy rolling down their faces. It's going to be
We
like
don't have to
Apollo
find
13.
any more clips of people on the internet.
We don't need to learn more about the fucking Eddie guy from the strongman competition. We don't have to. It's over. It's finally over.
Strongman can go back to the deep dark hole and crawl out.
I'm just picturing like the Apollo 13 or the first, not Apollo 13 then in this case. The Apollo 11 crew as they're watching and they see the rocket taking off and they're celebrating. Then they hear that we landed on the moon. Just the elation that took place. That's going to be what happens, I think, at the Disney Resort, which is where all of these games are going to be played. Because for anyone wondering at home, out of the 30 NBA teams, how many teams are going to make the playoffs? Well, the short answer is 22 of them, apparently, because why the fuck not? And so 22 teams are going to be playing 8 games for seeding purposes. And then after that, there's going to be on the east side, which is just absolute total horseshit, there are going to be 9 teams playing for the 8 competing spots, right?
Because what they're doing is they're maintaining the existing records.
That's right. Sorry. Keep going into this, Mitch. Take it away.
So they're maintaining the existing records. So they're giving chances that are on the bubble they're giving a team that's on the bubble a chance to actually make the playoffs because it's all about Zion. They want Zion to be in. That is a credible narrative to follow. And that's why the East only has 9, because after you go past the Wizards, none of them are any good because you have the worst teams in the league, like the Cavaliers, the Hawks, which are surprisingly the worst team in the league is the Golden State Warriors, which no one saw coming.
No one saw coming until then, like the injury happened. And then they were like, well, time to pack it up, folks. Okay. It's been real. It's been fun. It has been real fun. Get that lottery pick.
So there will only be 16 playoff teams, though.
Yes. At the end of the initial 8 games, the teams that are left that then are mathematically possible. If are they still going to be doing on the west side like the double elimination style formatting? Because they were going like 1 to 13 on that style. With like
I haven't looked at what the schedule actually is.
I also know that like all of this is based off of the standings as they currently are versus after 8 games. So who knows? There could be teams that have been, like whoever is number 13, right, in the West, if they go 0-7. And then they are, and then it comes down to the last game.
Like, okay, you're done. You're done.
Like I really think that they should just kind of be viewed as like, well, fuck it. That we had a good run. Don't make them also play a single game elimination playoff to just really rub it in their faces about what's going on.
They're essentially hoping that someone can beat out. Well, not necessarily. They like John Morant. They wouldn't be upset if John Morant and Memphis were the 8th seed in the West, but they would rather it be Zion.
Yes, I mean, what I think they would absolutely love is if they found a way for one of the current teams, like that's in like the top 6, to somehow stumble so far down,
like Oklahoma City.
Yeah. I mean, and then they find a way to.
Or who it could happen to is the Jazz.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of tension between Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, and Bogdan Bogdanovic had wrist surgery.
I think the Jet here. Let me see here. We're gonna do something on the
Jazz
fly.
Are like a high. Yeah, they're a pretty high seed. They might be 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think that they might even actually be locked in. Is what I'm.
Okay.
Thinking, yeah, okay. So let's see here. Okay, yeah, the Jazz and the Thunder and the Rockets actually are all locked in. So it's the real question is, do they want to see Luka and do they want to see Morant, or do they want to see Zion Williamson? It's
Right.
really the, like, pick two. One of them has to go from your playoffs, and that's
And
what they're hoping for.
Luka's kind of actually like the shoe-in because he's second year. He's already like, people were so excited for him this year. He's already led his team to a winning record. Like, so Luka's the shoe-in, in my opinion.
They could wrap it up. They do have like a 6-game lead, so all they have to do is win 3 of 8, and they'll have it locked up for sure. But I mean, like, it's really kind of the Grizzlies, the Blazers, and the Pelicans.
Right. Oh yeah, Dame Lillard. He was saying he wasn't going to play unless there was a chance to go to the playoffs, and
they're like, well, fine. You know what? We found a way. And then the Kings somehow also qualify, which is great. It'd be like, everyone told the Kings that they couldn't qualify, but guess what? They expanded the bracket to include 22 teams. They made sure somehow, some way, to get Luke Walton in.
They're the 13th seed, right?
Yes, as it currently stands. And so I think that means that, I mean, God bless them. That means that the Spurs, I think, don't have to deal with this fucking bullshit. Which is nice.
It's strange also because death taxes and the Spurs making the playoffs under Greg Popovich.
Listen, all of it, we could be completely speaking out of our asses, because I also saw that there was an idea that it would include the Suns, who are actually then below the Spurs, as finding a way to get in. And so,
I mean, Eastern side. I would be so down with that. I would just put 2 more teams on the Eastern side, man.
I mean, I really do kind of think that they should have honestly looked into having a competition of kind of like the losers bracket, if you will. You know how there's the NCAA tournament, and then they have the NIT, right?
Right.
Well, then you just have like best of 3 games with all the teams that don't make the actual playoffs, and then you just keep running them through in the bracket points, and so then you get to figure out who it is. And like the winner of that is for sure guaranteed like a lottery pick.
Well, yeah, they were talking about doing a tournament like that, to where if you win, then you have the best odds for the lottery.
Okay.
Like, the better you do, the higher your lottery odds are, which is the complete opposite of how it is now.
Just laughing in New Orleans.
Taking the worst teams in the league and like saying, play for something.
I mean, it is one way to stop tanking, because that's what NBA teams always do about 3/4 of the way through the year. They're like, well, fine.
Yeah, at that point, and it's smart too, because your highest chances of getting a game-changing player having a top 5 pick.
And it's not like football where you need, if you get a world-class athlete, that is 1/22nd of your, starting lineup on offense and defense. Right. Whereas this is one of your 5 people that can carry you through.
And it just makes such a, like, getting a generational player in basketball is way more impactful than it is in football. I mean, it's just, you look at teams like the Mavericks, like the Grizzlies, like the Pelicans, where, the year before their generational player came, they were just completely irrelevant. Unwatchable basketball, no hope in sight. Like, the Mavericks were trying to build around Dennis Smith Jr., who is now like the number 4 on the depth chart on the Knicks.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, like, speaking of the Knicks, and then specifically like the Eastern Conference, looking at the standings, the Brooklyn Nets are number 7. They are at 30 and 34. They are pretty much locked in to the 7 or 8 seed, depending on then how their 8 games go. They, though, could be getting Kevin Durant back.
But see, I heard that they shut that down immediately, but that was a while ago.
They shut that down immediately, like the first 3 times the rumor mill came out, but it still keeps on coming out. Like, I seriously think that someone in the organization is leaking the idea of like, hey, maybe. Because wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be?
They'd be dumb not to leak that.
I mean, also, like, for example, if the Brooklyn Nets, let's just say, for some bizarre unknown reason, they fall to 8, okay? The Wizards go away, okay? Magic would go to number 7.
Right.
If the Nets fall to number 8, that means their first round matchup would be against the Milwaukee Bucks. And then do you think in the NBA and TNT and ABC would turn down a Kevin Durant versus just the entirety of the Bucks versus the Greek Freak versus good old what's his name on 3&D versus Chris Middleton? Yeah, there we go.
Chris Middleton. I mean, okay, so I agree with you that they would love to see it, but I feel like they would rather see it in the later rounds. They don't want that necessarily as the first round matchup.
Yes. And I mean, I'm sure that they would want that. I'm just saying that, you know, if by some weird miracle logic, Kevin Durant comes back, but they still are catching their groove, so they kind of stumble out the gate, but they for sure are going to make the playoffs as they are, but then they fall to the 8th seed. I mean, it feels like that's something that then people would be pushing.
That'd be an incredible storyline. Everyone would be giddy just to see Kevin Durant back. You have a perennial top 3 player in the league, like that you haven't seen any action from, and then he's, because of the weird season, comes back to take his team on a playoff run. Like, great.
How badly do you think it would suck, by the way, if like we're buzzing for Zion Williamson, we're buzzing, for all these players, and it ends up being like the Portland Trailblazers who actually make it in legitimately into the playoffs. They walk their way in. They were hurt so badly, and they're all healthy again.
They went to the Western Conference Finals last year. You know, and to think that they would just miss the playoffs after that, it's crazy, honestly.
I mean, I love how teams are going to come back absolutely revitalized. You know, it's going to be something absolutely to see. I will sell my soul if the Thunder make it out of the fucking these playoffs at the number 4 seed. They are 1 game behind the Jazz right now, man. It could happen. It could happen.
It's insane what the Thunder have done.
We are so
Chris
close.
Paul and Chris Paul is just having the comeback season of his life.
Yeah, good God. Alexander, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is.
Oh yes. Oh, I've always been a fan of his.
Yeah, he's truly a blessing. Truly a blessing. Blessed are we to be able to stare into his presence. My God. By the way, I'm not sure if you're aware or not, but your video cut out. Oh, you're back. You're alive. Yeah. Okay, never mind. No worries. So, okay, now we are into our last segment. We're done with the news. We're in our last segment here. And this is going to be something that I like to call Take Shop. And it is where we give one take, one wild prediction, one whatever that we might have either come across or that we actually believe in. And so I was wondering, Mitch, as I throw it to you first and foremost here.
Right, as I was completely forgot about this.
If there was any particular take that you saw or that you came across that you were like, you know what? Like, I see the logic here, or, oh, I understand where they're coming from, or get this off my fucking feed.
Okay, so I will...
Yeah, if you're struggling for time, by the way, like I can give you like an example one that I had.
Okay, go ahead.
This is one that's been like milling around in my head for a while. And the thing that I can't escape from my brain, the thing that wakes me up at night, is the idea that Matt Patricia will be the Texans' 2021 defensive coordinator after he gets fired by the Lions. It's going to be Bill O'Brien trying to become Patriot South yet again and trying to absorb Patricia in. after the Texans get absolutely roasted on defense, because I think, like what you said, they have enough weapons on offense that they'll probably put up at least 20, 30 points a game, but their defense isn't going to be nearly as powerful as people think that it is, or that they remember.
Oh, no.
Like Whitney Merciless and the gang can only do so much on their shoulders, and JJ Watt is a non-factor at best these days.
Yeah, because he only plays in 8 games a year, so
exactly.
he's missing half the snaps. So okay, that's a good one. But I'm going to stick with the theme of the night, and I'm going to go with Drew Brees retiring.
Oh,
because
really?
The locker room is so fractured that he just cannot overcome the tension that he has created with his teammates.
I'm so sorry for what I've done.
Try. And Jameis Winston is going to start 10 games
for
the New Orleans Saints after they start 1-5, because no one wants to play for Drew Brees.
Oh, you think it's going to be Taysom Hill coming out, just deciding?
No, they don't even think it's going to be Taysom Hill.
The Mormon Fury himself.
They pay him because he's versatile. He does a lot of things okay.
You hear that?
He gets paid for.
Insert that hand, the hand clenching together meme of where like football players and LGBT community being like versus being more valuable than anything else.
No, it's totally the truth. Solidarity.
So many positions. Am I right? Anyways.
You can give it, you can take it, as long as there's enjoyment, right? As long as the job gets done.
It's the perfect thing. It's the perfect thing. I think that Drew Brees, how is he going to convince his line, like after they're getting like absolutely their teeth kicked in the second quarter as they're playing the Bucks? Because remember, that's the week 1 game, okay?
Right.
And the Bucks defensive line is no fucking joke. That they're gonna be like, well,
they're very underrated last year.
Do you think Drew Brees just decides to try and sell Tom Brady up the river? Just listen, I am bad. I misspoke.
A random donation was made by a $10 million donation was made so that a 20-second advertisement would be played during halftime, and it's just a smear campaign against Tom Brady. And it happens to be on in all the locker rooms.
It could work. It would be the thing.
Tom Brady kisses his kids on the mouth.
70 saxophone riffs.
Like Drew Brees may not like black people, but he would never do that.
Yeah, they both agree that they don't like black people, but I do like that attack ad style thing. It's really like his main move of what he can operate off of. Because
no, it's his only choice. No one cares what he has to say himself anymore. Now you just tear everyone else down to your level. It's the only way to make the playing field even again.
Yeah,
it's the Trump tactic.
No, I think you're right. I think that's a thing that would make sense. It's the only thing that makes sense. My absolute hottest take, and I'm not sure like if the world is ready for this, is that Bill Belichick will have one of the worst seasons that he's ever had as a coach. Like the Patriots will purposefully go like 4-12 or underneath, just so that way then they can then pick up and scoop up Trevor Lawrence from Clemson. Like I really, really see that in the cards as happening. Like
I don't see Bill Belichick being in a situation where he needs to go get another franchise QB. I don't see that being like his priority. Maybe the organization's priority, but Bill Belichick is kind of like he's the oldest coach in the league.
He's
like
checked out right now. I
mean, he's not checked out, but he's a 70-year-old man that has been dominating the National Football League for the past 18 years, or however long the six champ. Shit, is it 5 or 6? It's 6, isn't it?
6 now, I believe.
Yeah, 6 championship winning Patriots. I mean, and so now he has a chance to prove that he can do it without his golden pony boy.
I could see that happening. I really though think that if Bill Belichick just isn't feeling it this year, he's just gonna be like, "Well, this is my son. You all know him. I have a heart condition. Gonna have to sit out the rest of this year, folks. Gonna kick back. Gonna go dive with some dolphins in the sea. Chill out."
But do you think if he does that, he returns the year after?
Oh, absolutely. Like, and Patriots fans
He's
will
so
take him
old,
back.
Though. He doesn't have any time. He doesn't have any time to like just give up on a year. He's got to just submit himself as the greatest coach ever.
Okay, so do you think
years off?
So what? So do you think that then he would sign Cam Newton?
I'm surprised that hasn't happened already. Like he must really like this Stidham guy.
The fact that Bill Belichick could have gotten Jameis Winston for $1.1 million and said no, and then instead chose to go with Jarrett Stidham makes me think that he wants to tank. That's my internal logic, because the Saints were able to sign Winston for $1 million.
Right. Winston was just happy to have a job in the league still.
Yeah.
And be behind what he thought would be a good mentor, I'm sure.
Hey, Drew Brees is oh god, I had a joke, I was thinking about it. Okay,
yeah,
you know what, I'm actually gonna roll with it. Hey, Drew Brees, call your job some crab legs because I'm about to steal it anyways.
Damn, that was great. You're really funny, Kelton. I'm gonna be honest with you. You write jokes up on the spot, and it's really impressive. Like, I'm blown away.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate this flattery. Gabe, we miss you, buddy. Come back.
Oh,
Mitch is complimenting me to get me to stop talking. I see how this game goes.
That's not true. It was a genuine compliment. Gabe is really funny too. I mean, you just like you write real jokes like on the spot, and I think it's impressive.
Well, thank you.
It's just brush it off, just keep going.
It is it's been a week, I think, in sports that we'll be feeling the reverberations from through, I would say, probably the end of the month. Like, it's not often that you get like a week where then like all of this stuff comes out with the NFL and the issues that are coming out around it. And then also the NBA season is gearing up, because they're saying that they want to get started by the end of July, which, I mean, those poor Disney workers.
Oh, yeah, right.
You thought that dealing with Disney fans were bad. My God, imagine dealing with some really drunk Mavs fan who flew from Dallas to Orlando just so he can watch Luka.
Open? Because if that's the case, that's going to be me. They're going to have to deal with me. Like, I'm going to be the really drunk, obnoxious guy.
Well, I mean,
I'm so sorry.
Even if they don't have fans like inside the actual stadium, they will have everyone surrounding it. Like, people will still flock there to go like hang out with them. Because I mean,
that kind of defeats the. Okay, so it's not a bubble. It's not a bubble like situation. The players
they're not
allowed
even
to
allowed to shower
accord.
in the stadium. They have to shower at their hotel.
No, but they're allowed to leave their hotel whenever they want.
No.
Like, yes, I'm telling you, it's not. There's no. Like,
really?
Yes.
I thought that they were implementing like the Olympic, like the tape strategy. Jesus God.
No. The players can leave at their own discretion, and it is up to them to take precautionary measures.
We're not going to know if anyone gets coronavirus until the playoffs are about to start. And if they decide to have to shut down the league again,
I know,
because people are testing positive, there will be riots, not like these like actual peaceful protests. There will be angry fan riots, and that's so much worse. Like they burned Philly to the ground because they were so happy that they won a Super Bowl. Can you imagine the fact that now that they're going to be able to claim that the process would have worked if it weren't for COVID-19? This is just the most bullshit storylines that we're going to have to deal with time and time and time again. My God. Seems miserable to me. I can't imagine.
I know. It is such a depressing state that we live in right now. Like there's literally not one inkling of like anything to hold on to.
It's okay. It's
change,
okay.
The idea of change. That's what we're holding on to. Change.
Please.
I'll hold on to that.
Hope, progress, something,
Right.
The note
something.
that we want to end out for everyone, just to be like, hey, yeah, there's it's all darkness. Everything envelops me. It's going to be pretty miserable. And it's much like how the Portland Trailblazers, they were the only team to vote against the plan, and then everyone still continued on without it. So that's who we are, I think, is the Portland Trailblazers in this moment. But all right. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Say, that Portland's management just like gave Damian Lillard that vote. They're like, all right, do you want to play or not? Like, nah.
Yeah. It's really up to you, because we are A-OK with like repping our whole identity through you of being like the woke team this year, because Steve Kerr isn't a playoff contender and allowed to get the mic.
And Damian Lillard just like, is Nurkic playing? And they're like, no, Nurkic's not playing. He's like, it's just me and CJ. No, I'm good. No, I'm good.
Chew. That's what I'm thinking here. Weaken the knees. Help me. Well, thank you everyone, by the way, for checking us out tonight. Wherever you're watching this video, on Twitch, on YouTube, live or not, it really means a lot to us to have you on here. So go ahead, be sure and follow us on Twitter at Sports Radio 1917. Follow us on Facebook at Sports Radio 1917. I promise you, I'm going to try to keep posting various news articles that we may or may not be touching on next week's episode. It's more or less just a way for me to make sure to annoy people and say like, hey, have you seen this? Have you heard about this? Without fully
everyone in the loop. You post a ton of things that I've never seen or wouldn't have seen otherwise. So
well, thank you. And I think that's also true just in general. What we should really sell ourselves on are for leftists who don't actually follow sports that much, that, hey, you should go ahead and share this thing, because then the people that do like sports, they'll see it. And that's how then you can further radicalize them. We can make it happen. But the only way for that to actually occur would be for y'all to turn on notifications. Make sure you don't finish. Make sure that you watch every episode that we have coming out, and just know that it means the world to us. So, got any closing thoughts here, Mitch?
I'm bad at this. I don't have any closing anything.
It's okay. We refuse to give anyone closure. That's Sports Radio 1917 promise. All right, we love you. And see, maybe. Are we actually off? I don't know. We shall see.